Okay. Haircut. Okay. All right. Well, trying to make sure the technology is not going to crap out on me today. I just noticed I need a haircut. Looks a little Indian, right? Okay. All right. So for this session of coffee, or in my case, tea, because I'm trying to kick hot coffee and canines. And in case you're wondering, I'm doing that because I'm trying to cut down the amount of like sugar and stuff like that I consume. Whenever I drink coffee, I usually put some creamer in it. I can't quite bring myself to drink coffee black. I can drink most teas black, and this is Irish breakfast tea, which is, to me, it's kind of like light coffee. So I still get my caffeine fix, but just a little easier. All right. So today, what I want to talk about, a couple of things. So first, with the announcement, at the end of July, I'm going to be doing a workshop over at Santa Rosa County Animal Shelter. I'll share some of like an official post about that later once all the details are hammered out. We're going to be talking about like Leave It Q. If you've worked with me in the past, you kind of know what you're getting into, but that's a good way to come out and meet me and everything as well. And I'm doing that. All the proceeds for that go towards the Santa Rosa County Animal Shelter. So, and I want to talk about a couple of things today, and I'm going to try to keep this as on topic as I can. We'll see. So I want to talk about single event learning, and then I want to talk about a new service that's kind of got me thinking about that this kind of talk has kind of got me thinking about. So single event learning is exactly what it sounds like. Single event learning is when a subject, whether that's human, sorry, the glare is bothering me a little, whether that's a human, whether that's a dog, goes through one single encounter, and now their behavior is modified based on what happened in that one event, right? So usually the one that I refer to the most out of like my personal history is, I think it was back in 2019. I want to say it was back in 2019. Jennifer and I took our annual anniversary trip to Disney World. A drive we had made several times at this point. We were on our way back. We had stopped in Tallahassee to go to the bathroom and get something to drink and kind of wake up a little bit, because by this time on the way back, we were probably in Tallahassee. It's probably like maybe 7-ish at night in October. So it's dark. It had been drizzling lately since we had pretty much left Orlando. And we get on the highway and we're driving, and we're probably on the road for less than 5 minutes. When an 18-wheeler jumps the median. And I tell people, if I had not had I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was just like, the right clarity of mind or what, but I sped up instead of slowing down. And if I had not done that, we would have, there's a solid chance we would not be here. Right. Ever since then, I mean, Jennifer's never been super comfortable driving, but ever since then, especially if I'm on the interstate, 18-wheelers make me super nervous. They make me super nervous. There's one on local news where an 18-wheeler caused a huge accident over in, I think it was Okaloosa County, because some people had stopped to let a turtle cross the road, and I guess he wasn't paying attention or couldn't stop fast enough or what, and several people got hurt. That's single event learning. I have a scary encounter with an 18-wheeler. Now, every time I'm driving, especially when I'm driving under those conditions, I'm very careful of how I handle myself around 18-wheelers. Single event learning. And a lot of times the issue we have, I've got this on a tray because someone was in my chair and now he wants to come over here and I don't want him to knock the tray over. Krista. And the issue that I have with dog owners understanding this in their dogs is that we have a hard time. When it happens to us, it's easier to conceptualize. When it happens to dogs, it's very difficult to conceptualize. A lot of times the question I get asked is, why can't my dog just get over X? Right? Well, I can tell you that I can lay out the objectivity of that one scenario where it was late, it was dark, it was raining. These obviously make conditions poor for driving. A lot of times 18-wheelers, their drivers are often driving well past when they should be. They're very tired. Whatever, right? I can reason this self out. I can reason this thing out to myself and others as much as I want. It's still there. It's still, every time I pass an 18-wheeler or an 18-wheeler passes me, there's a sensation of going back to that moment with it jumping the median and coming at me. 1 second. Christoph, leave it. Thank you. So when we talk about this, leave it. Do not squeak. Hey, do not squeak. So when we talk about this, and your dog often does not have the ability to understand the abstract concept of, look, it was a freak accident. This is why you shouldn't be afraid. It's like people who are afraid of planes or, being out over the ocean and stuff like that. You can try to reason with them. You can try to explain it to them. At some point, there's still that really primal fear. And that's assuming they haven't been in a plane accident or haven't been lost at sea, right? So then when you get into the dogs, the problem when you get into dogs is that I can't reason with you on this. I have to let you come to whatever it was that startled you and scared you. I have to let you come to that on your own using operant conditioning. I have to find a suitable enough reinforcer. I have to figure out what your threshold is, if there is one. There may not be a perceivable threshold. I've met some dogs that are so dog reactive that the scent or the sound of another dog sets them off. And where's the threshold? Well, if the threshold is scent or sound, I'm in trouble because I have a dog who can hear other dogs way before I can see them. I have a dog that it can smell other dogs way before. I couldn't even smell a dog, right? So when you're thinking about that from a dog's point of view, single event learning, it's a defense mechanism. It keeps the animal alive. It's sound evolution, because the animals that are smart enough to avoid danger are the animals that continue to survive and propagate, right? You're going, okay, well, fine, whatever. It's still not that big of a deal. All right, well, let me give you another bit of single event learning from my life. And this happened 2 years ago, back in 2021. And Jennifer and I, back when she was a dog groomer, we shared a client. And she was a cute little toy poodle who had some separation anxiety. And the family was about to go through, someone had some kind of terminal illness, and the family was going to be kind of back and forth a lot. And the owner that I had dealt with, I'd only ever dealt with one owner, had decided that she wanted to board the dog. And knowing my wife and I, knowing the dog the way that we did, kind of against my better judgment, we agreed to do like a board and train scenario with her where she could stay with us because she was comfortable with my wife and me. And we got her here. And the other reason why she did so well is because with the way our household is set up, she was very rarely left alone. She got along well with Flynn and Philip and the cats. She didn't really get into trouble, didn't really get into anything. But I could also work on her separation anxiety, right? I was kind of hesitant to do it, mainly because it wasn't an ideal setup, and I don't really like doing that. I don't like being a board and train kind of person, right? Fast forward a couple weeks. Her and her husband split up. I never really met her husband. I saw him once, like the back of his head once in a car when she was dropping the dog off. He shows up pounding on my door because he wants to get his dog back. Well, I don't have a single piece of paperwork with his name on it. I'd only ever dealt with the wife. And to my knowledge, the last communication I had from the wife was, we're separating. Please continue to hold on to my dog. And we'll take care of this, right? So he shows up. I was on my way to a client's house. I turn around, come back home. I wound up losing this client, oddly enough. Not the one whose dog I was boarding, but the client I was going towards. And I come back home, and because my mother-in-law was here by herself, and he's very confrontational. He's very scared. We have to call the cops, which everybody in my neighborhood loved because we'd been here at that point for like 5-6 months, and the cops show up at our house. And he's in the military. At that point, I was pretty concerned, right? I was very concerned for my well-being and my safety. I was concerned for my wife's well-being and her safety. What if this guy came back? What if this guy brought a bunch of his buddies? And no offense, but the military around here, we kind of, place a higher value on the military around here because so much of our business, so much of our town is built around the bases, which is fair. So that left me, it even went so far as like he tried to take me to court. And when the judge heard it, I didn't even, it was because this is back in COVID, right? I spoke to the judge once on the Zoom call, and that was it. That was it, right? By that point, I didn't even have the dog. After he left, after the police made him leave, I called the owner and I was like, come get her. We can't do this. Come get her, right? At that point, while the dog was in our custody for another day or two, we were very careful about how we went outside. We were very careful about making sure our doors were locked. We were scared. We were very scared. And, my wife is not super comfortable with firearms. I didn't have one at the time that I really want to do a concealed carry permit on. So, and I'm not in the best shape. I've got some arthritis. Everybody knows this. I'm trying to manage my weight a little bit better. And then, that whole year just moving forward, my health hasn't gotten much better. I got to that point where I was feeling just not safe in my own home. What would have happened? That's where my mind kept going to. What would have happened? And I wound up doing things like I looked at buying guns. I looked at going through, and then I settled on like a self-defense course. I settled on a type of martial art that, it doesn't really hurt other people. I settled on Aikido. I went back to martial arts, and I tried going to Aikido. And I did this kind of off and on for, until now. And then some things happened at the dojo, which have forced me to reconsider. I'm going to get to that in a second. And then, the past 2 years have been constantly assessing threats and looking at threats, and is this person going to hurt me, and bringing back old anxieties. Old anxieties from when I was a kid, because I was a really small kid. And physically could never come close to a lot of the kids that bullied me. And I've been living there in the back of my mind. And I don't know what's different about the past couple weeks. Maybe I'm finally kind of coming out of, or maybe I don't know. I think that um I think that there was just so much stress all at one time, starting pretty much from when we bought this house to now, that things are not as stressful as they have been. And finally, I can kind of look at myself I usually am more introspective. Maybe I can kind of put myself back under the magnifying glass again and kind of work on me a little bit. And I realized that I let one event not just modify my behavior, but modify my behavior in such a way as to make me consider how I was living, right? That's a pretty big, event. And I can logic it out. I can be reasonable about it. I can talk to myself and I can say, hey, look, if things had really come to blows, I probably would have been okay. He probably wasn't seriously going to try to hurt me. The cops got there pretty quickly. I stayed in my car until the cops got there, that kind of thing. But it stuck with me. What is it like for your dog? What is it like for your dog when that one crack of thunder splits a tree in your backyard or your neighbor's backyard and the power goes out in a big pop? How do I explain that to my dogs? How do I explain to my dogs that, we've been to the dog park a million times and you're loving this? And don't take your dogs to the dog parks. But if you do, you're doing what, you love the dog park. And then there's that one dog that put holes in your body and you had to get stitched and you got really sick and you had to be on antibiotics and you spent 3 nights at the vet and you had a drainage tube and all this kind of stuff. How do I explain to my dog that that dog is not going to come back and these other dogs are okay? Which brings me to before I go there, I have to be patient. I have to be understanding. And if I'm in it with my dog, I'm in it with my dog. In that particular case, with me, over the past couple of weeks, I have realized I'm kind of emotional today. And I promise y'all, last video, I'm not going to cry anymore. So, one sec. The old toxic masculine, I'm not crying, I'm just choking on my drink. I think for myself, I had to realize that I have always looked at myself as someone who tried to be peaceful. I never liked fighting, even from a young age. I was interested in martial arts. I love fantasy stories. I love all that stuff. I don't like fighting. I don't like fighting with my wife. I don't like fighting with my parents. I don't like fighting with random people. It really physically upsets me. I don't like it. And I guess that what I needed to remember is that by and large, I am trying to make the world I am personally trying to make the world around me better by being here. And the way I have found that I can do that is trying to help people with their dogs. This brings me to my second point. We don't, and when I say we, I'm included in this. I know the frames are getting a little wobbly here, so we don't show up for our dogs enough. And what I mean by that is that we bring these animals into our house and we say, look, don't do this, and don't do this, and don't do this, and don't do this, and eat when I want you to, and sleep when I want you to, and play when I want you to, and pee and poop when I want you to. We don't show up for our dogs enough. And now part of this is life. Part of this is our culture and our country that, okay, you work 8, 10, 12 hours a day. You go home, you sleep, you go back to work 8, 10, 12 hours a day. And so you get to this point where you're like, okay, well, I've got, a day of downtime and I got to clean the house and I got to take care of the kids and all this other stuff. And when I do take care of the dog, it's all right, well, you got to go to the vet today, or you got to go to the groomers today, or something, right? We don't have a lifestyle where we can easily say, I'm going to prioritize this animal. We used to. There are parts of the world that still do. We don't. And so I guess what I want to leave you with, and this is going to lead into the new service that I want to try to offer, is the best way to help your dog is to be there. Put your phone down. I am really guilty about that. Put your phone down. Put the PlayStation controller down. Put the laptop down. Turn the TV off. Or put it on something you can just listen to while you work with your pup. We are not there for our dogs enough. And I'm not saying build your life around your dog. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is honor the agreement. Honor the unspoken agreement. I'm bringing you into my house. I want you to be a part of my family. I want to meet your needs as much as I can. And a little more. I don't just want you to be a piece of furniture. I want you to be a part of the family. And if I want you to be a part of the family, I've got to invest time in you. I've got to invest energy in you. I've got to take parts out of my day and come to my dog and say, what do you want to do? What do we need to do? Right? Do we need to play? Do we need to play? That's something that gets neglected a lot. Do we need to play? I want you to learn this particular behavior, but learn, doing it 4 or 5 times in a training class, buddy. Doing 4 or 5 times in a training class isn't learning this behavior. I have to do it thousands of times. If I want you to do this outside on a walk or downtown at Palafox Market, which you know my feelings on that, then you need to put in the time. I know. I love you too. Yes, I do. Everybody says hi. And that's where I'm bringing up my next service. I don't have a witty name for it. It's kind of an experiment. What got me thinking about it was board and trains, especially some of the ones around here, charge you thousands of dollars to take your dog for 2, 3, 4 weeks. They might do 2 or 3 training sessions with you in their presence, and then they hand you back your dog. And you are expecting, because you don't know any better, because you are trusting in a professional, you are expecting them to, buddy, I'm fine. Trust. He's doing this because my voice sounds like this. You're expecting them to have trained your dog, Rich, which is what we want. we, in this day and age, with 2-day delivery and streaming services and stuff like that, we want an instant fix. And there's no instant fix for behavior. There's no instant fix. There are long-term modifications, but there's no instant fix, right? And so what I'd like to offer, and I'm going to I'll make a post later, is I'm looking for a couple of people. I don't want to do this maybe within 4 or 5 clients. I want to come every week or every twice a week to your house or wherever you want to work for 6 months. I would prefer to do it for a year, but for 6 months, every week, every other week, we'll modify, or twice a week, we'll modify occasionally. If it falls across a vacation, maybe we'll wait until you start your vacation or until you're back from your vacation, or, we're only gonna be on for like a week. We'll skip a week. That's fine. But I want to be there with you as much as I can while you're there with your dog, to drive home this idea that training doesn't stop. I'm going to be asking $50 a session. There will be some restrictions on this. Some extreme behavior cases. If you're outside of a certain travel area, $50 a session, once or twice a week. I will ask you to pay half of that up front, or part of it up front. I don't know how much I'm asking yet. But I want to be there with you as often as I can to show you what it's like if you want to get that dog in that TikTok video, or that dog in the really cool YouTube channel that you like to follow. How do you do that? How often do you do that? How much work do you put in? That's what I want to show you. This is a challenge. And I know that. Trust me. I'm fully aware. I don't expect anyone to take me up on this challenge. But it's there. I'm putting it on the table. Meet with me every week, at least once a week, for a minimum of 6 months. 26 weeks. $50 per session. Let's see what we can do. Okay? All right. Well, that's a lot. And if you're watching this video, which I don't see any people watching live. Oh, there's one person. I want you to remember that even if you're not working with me, if you've worked with me in the past and you're not working with me now, you've been on the fence about it, whatever, the best thing you can do for your dog is to be there. And I don't mean be in the room. I don't mean be at home. Have a present, active role in their life. Do things with them. Take time to do things with them. Be patient. Work with them. But understand that 2 or 3 sessions, a couple of weeks at board and train, that isn't going to do it. It's not going to do it. And see what changes. And if you'd like to answer my challenge, if you'd like to say, you know what, Ben, let's do this, I would love to. I'd love to. I'd love to get you walking that path with your pup and see if you aren't happier because of it. All right, everyone. Well, thanks for watching. As always, if you like this video, like, comment, share. If you're on the fence about services, please reach out to me. I'm happy to help. Facebook is not wanting to show me messages right now. I'm not really sure why. So everybody's got my number. Please reach out. I'm always happy to do, to answer your questions, to help you any way I can. All right. I love all of you. Give your dog a pat and treat for me. And I'll see you next time.